Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. This is one of the most important talks that we will be attending today from our speaker, Dr. Raj Kumar. It is an important talk because this idea, this issue of regional integration of South Asia is one of the cornerstones and one of the most important integral issues which PRISA intends to focus upon. Our speaker today, Dr. Raj Kumar, he has been serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Law at the University of Jammu, and that is the same university from which he earned his Ph.D. in competition law. And he's been teaching there now since 2011. He has done his MBA-LL.M from National Law University, Jodhpur in 2010, and prior to that, BA-LL.B from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar in 2002 and 2000, between 2002 and 2007. So I thank Dr. Raj Kumar for his time. The forum is now handed over to Dr. Raj Kumar. This will be a 1 hour long session, and Dr. Raj Kumar will pace it so as to accommodate your questions. And over to you, Dr. Raj.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'll be discussing on prospects and challenges of regional economic integration in South Asia. My name is Dr. Raj, and I'm a senior assistant professor in Department of Law, University of Jammu, and I have around 14 years of experience. So I'll be discussing first what is the meaning of regional economic integration. So it is basically a cooperation between the neighboring countries where they reduce their trade barriers and they prefer trading with each other. And through this, they try to integrate their economic and trade policies through which there is a more economic interdependence. So regional trade is important because it creates growth, development, and a lot of opportunities of employment for the population. Then it is very important to understand why regional trade is relevant because that in WTO there is a two concepts called MFN and national treatment, in which if some benefit is given to any one member of the WTO, same has to be extended to the all other members. So through regional trade is an exception to the this world trade system, wherein you can create a regional bloc and you can have a differential treatment with the members of the bloc. So regional trade, it's a very important since the starting of WTO. Now, in case of regional integration, there are different levels and different types of regional integration. So first is preferential trade agreement, second is free trade agreement, then there is a customs union, then there is a common market, then there is a economic union, and last is political union. So in case of a preferential trading agreement, there is a list of items in which trade is permitted. So they have only a positive list on which you can have a trade. So in case of a SARC, we had a SAFTA, which was implemented in 1995, and where some items were identified on which progressively the tariff was reduced and trade was promoted. Then the next stage is free trade agreement, that is similar to SAFTA, which was implemented in 2005 and 2006, wherein there is only limited items on which there will be no trade, but on all other items there will be trade. Then there is a customs union, wherein the countries they remove their internal barriers and there is a free movement of man, machinery, and material, and they have a common external trade policies. So in case of a common market, they further increase it to wherein they will have a common legislative policies. They bring their internal remove their internal borders and try to trade as a common market. Now, in case of EU is moving from common market towards economic union. In case of economic union, they have a common trade and fiscal policies. Their budget policies are also same. So we were discussing about stages of integration. So last is a political union where they create a one unit where they have a they remove internal borders also. But in case of South Asia, we are still at a first stage. So SARC was established in the year 1985. So it is approximately 40 years. But in 40 years, we have not made any progress. So when we discuss about SARC, there are 8 members to it, and Afghanistan is the recent member which joined in 2007. So if we discuss about the demography of SARC, it is 1.9 billion population, which is approximately 24% of the world population. So it's a huge market which is available. And secondly, there are countries which have a higher growth rate, which includes India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. And there are countries which have a slightly lesser growth of rate of growth. Then the key sectors which are important for this area is agriculture, manufacturing, and services. And we have discussed that there are 9 observer countries, which include Australia, China, Iran, Japan, Korea, Mauritius, Myanmar, USA, and EU. So these big trading blocks, they have observer status in the SARC. Then through the SARC, there are different areas which are identified. These are communication, connectivity, agriculture, public health, energy, environment, and economic cooperation. But from last 10 years, there is no SARC summit. Last was scheduled to be held in Pakistan in 2016, but due to some political reasons, we are not able to have this summit in Pakistan. Now, we have already discussed that SARC has approximately 24% of the world population, but the share in international trade is only 2 to 3%. And regional trade is within SARC member is less than 5%. The share in the global GDP is again 2 to 3%. And approximately 40% of the world poor, they live in this region. So these are the statistics, but they give a very grim picture about the SARC. Then there are things which we need to focus in case of SARC is that we have a common civilization, our language, culture, and many things are similar. We have a common history of colonization. We were colonized by a same European power. Then within SARC, there are different levels of democracy. In India, we have a functional democracy, but in all neighboring countries, there are different stages of democracy. Countries are trying to, they were having the problem of civil war, military rule, regime changes, but now they are moving towards democracy. Then there are issues of hyper-nationalism, religious fanatism, and there is issues of identity, and which reflect into the politics and which creates problem for the region. Then the zone is a conflict zone where countries are spending high on defense. There is a low spending on education, health, infrastructure, and social welfare. Resultant, there is a low standard of living, and we have two nuclear armed countries in this region, and there's a possible in case of India, we are spending approximately $70 billion every year on defense, which is more than the combined Indian spending on education, health, and infrastructure. So a lot of money is going on into this defense spending, but less on education and other issues. Similar is happening with all other countries because people are not focusing on, the governments are not focusing on people, but they are focusing on their security issues and other things. Then there is a big factor is China factor. China is a neighbor to approximately all these SARC countries. It has a lot of investment, particularly in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, and even in Nepal also. And again, if we add Chinese population with SARC population, so it will be around 40 to 42% of the world population. So it's a huge area, huge market. Whatever these countries they are produced, it either will be consumed by within SAARC, or it can be consumed in China. Now, coming to the this is the, I think, data. It's a data I got it from the Ministry of Commerce from India. In this case, the last 5-year data is given regarding trade. But if you can see, with reference to Pakistan, in 2019, Indian trade was approximately $5 billion, which heavily favored India. But now it is around 500 million. So rather than growing, it is decreased because of certain reasons. And similar happened in case of Iran, that we were having a huge trade, but now because of US sanctions, there is no trade. But with other countries, trade is slightly improving. But now, why SAARC is important for us? Because this region, it has a huge potential for economic growth. There is a lot of scope where countries they can work together. Ultimately, if we work on SAARC, we'll be benefiting the poorest of poor, because we have seen that whenever there is a inflation or price rise is there, there is a shortage, and then the poor they have to pay the maximum. The burden is maximum on the poor, and so if we have a coordination, we can whenever there is a shortage or there is a problem, that from neighboring country we can import. So I'm not saying that that we should only focusing on import, but if we are importing it from a European country or somewhere from American country, so cost is very high, because it will also include the logistic costs. But if we are importing it from a neighboring country, then the cost of transportation is less, logistic cost is less. So ultimately, price will not be that high. So it will benefit the poorest of poor whenever there is a inflation or there is a shortage, and which creates a lot of problem for the public. Then whenever we work as a region, we'll have a better negotiating power, because for the rest of the world, whenever they want to invest, they will be comparing us with the other regions. Like in our neighbor, there's the ASEAN region, which is a block of 10 countries. And whenever they want to invest, they will be making a choice that whether they want to invest in ASEAN or they want to invest in the SAARC. So if we trade as a block, we'll be able to have a better negotiating power at a global forums. We'll be able to have a better deals with the rest of the world. Then again, there is a very important requirement for this reason, is that infrastructure development, and there is a need to link the region. So if that India is getting access through Pakistan to Central Asia, so it will be very easy for India to have their exports to Central Asia. Similarly, if Pakistan they want to export to Bangladesh, they can do it through Indian railway system or land route. It will not take more than 24 hours. And even similar with Nepal also. So the infrastructure development and connecting infrastructure with each other is very important. Moreover, as a law says that the cost of trade within region is less as compared to the rest of the world. So that's why this region is important. Moreover, that we have a lot of similar legal system, language, culture. So it is easier for us to trade with each other. Now, what are the prospects? As we have discussed that this population is approximately 24% of the world, and it provides a huge market for whatever we produce. It will be consumed in the region. Then again, if we go into demographic dividend, there is a huge young population, and which can contribute into labor force. Our region, we have a cheapest labor in the world, so we can become a production powerhouse, and we can export it to the world, and we can take advantage of having comparatively lower cost of production in this region. And moreover, we'll be able to provide employment opportunities to the youth. Then we have seen that SAFTA, in case of SAFTA, it was India gave it MFN status to the Pakistan, but they were not able to extend it, because when they literally transferred this MFN into the local language, So it becomes Pasandida Mulk. So that was against the local politics. So and then they decided to have a different name, but they were not able to do it. So regarding next is that in this region there are a lot of whenever some company they want to invest. So if they're investing in a single country, there will be a smaller market. So Pakistan is around 20 crore, 22 to 25 crore population. Bangladesh is 16 crore. Then when we have a common market, so it will be better for a foreign company if they want to make investment, because they will be targeting at a 24% of the world population. Moreover, whenever there is a production is done, so some countries will have a comparative cost advantage. Like in case of Bangladesh, they have a lower cost of garment making, but they are not producing the cotton. Cotton is produced in India and Pakistan primarily, and it is exported to Bangladesh, where they convert it to a garment. So there is a need to integrate the these manufacturing facilities, so that that entire region should get the benefit. Moreover, when we produce at a volume, we'll be able to reduce our cost of production. So we call it economics of scale. So whenever our exports are competitive, when we are able to produce at a lower cost and we are able to export it to the global market, then only will our product will be accepted. So it is very important for the region to integrate their supply chain, so that we can produce at a lower cost. Moreover, in case of energy, so in this entire region is an energy hungry region, and there are countries who have a surplus capacity. Like in case of Nepal and Bhutan, they have hydroelectric potential, but they don't have the funding or the financial capacity for projects. So we can through the region we can have joint development of these hydro projects, and energy can be exported to the countries where they required. There is already plan of a SAR grid, but still it is not of that stage of development. So what are the main challenges? So first, the main challenge is political tensions. So the entire region is not able to do better, because there is a conflict between India, Pakistan, but there are other conflicts with other countries. But the primarily the Kashmir issue is not able, because of this issue we are not able to do better. Then there are trade barriers. There is a protectionist policies between the governments. There is a tariff and non-tariff barriers. There are a lot of government involvement, lot of procedural issues, bureaucratic uh, procedure is there. So there are a lot of trade barriers. If we want to do better trade, we need to remove this barrier, and we need to have a policies where we protect our domestic industry, but at the same time, whenever there is a cheaper to import or to trade with the neighboring country, we should encourage this trade between the neighboring countries. Then that's there is a economic disparity. There are certain countries who are doing slightly better, and there are countries who are not doing slightly better. So in that case, there are apprehensions between the countries that probably the one country will be able to dominate the region, because if we look into this region, that India is the biggest country, it has huge population, a lot of land area. So the countries in this region, they have apprehensions about size and scale of India. So but we need, whenever we need to work together, we need to look at the benefits which we get when we have a regional trade. Then we need to that lot of Chinese influence in the region, that Belt and Road Initiative. There are almost all neighboring countries except Bhutan. They are part of Bhutan and India. They are part of BRI initiative, and a lot of investments are coming into this region. China is the biggest investor in Pakistan or in Bangladesh and even in Sri Lanka. So we need to see that how we can together we can have this investment, and we can utilize it for the benefit of all countries. Although as a policy, India has not joined the BRI, but if all neighboring countries are joining, it will have impact on India. So let's see that how Indian government respond to it. But my view is that we should be able to utilize the Chinese investment in this region so that the maximum benefit we can get out of it. Now, whenever we compare it with the other trading bloc, there are different trading blocks like NAFTA. EU is one of them. There are many other in approximately there are 300 or more trading blocks. But our neighbor is ASEAN. So in case of area ASEAN, we have seen that there is a strong political commitment for trade. So the regional trade is approximately 40%. So even they have a common policies, they have a common visa regime now. So a lot of this can happen only when there is a strong political commitment towards the international trade. Then if we compare with SARC, there is only 5%, and even it is not sure that whenever there is a political problem, trade it first casualty is the trade. Then what are the opportunities which we can have? So first of all, that promoting e-commerce and fintech in India, we have approximately there is a online payment system which is called UPI, Unique Payment Interface. In India, we are having around 15,000 crore transaction per year, which is value wise, it is around 300 billion USD, which is approximately 500 million transactions per day, and the value is approximately 1 billion per day. So it's a huge technical advantage which India has done, and India is willing to share this knowledge with the neighboring countries so they can also use their expertise. Then there is a lot of potential for tourism which will include medical tourism, religious tourism, and leisure tourism also. There are sites of religious importance in each countries, and people they want to travel to these places. Moreover, there is a cost of treatment in India is comparatively cheaper than getting it same done from UAE or from UK or any other Western country. So same quality of medical treatment is available at a cheaper price. So should countries should take the benefit. Moreover, in our neighboring country, we have seen in case of Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they were facing this balance of payment crisis. They were having issues with their forex exchange, and if we have a regional trade, we can do our trade in a local currency, wherein there is dependence on US dollar and foreign currency, it will be less. So already India is having local currency trade with more than 18 countries, which can be extended to all other SARC members. Moreover, there is a requirement for infrastructure development. Already India is working on India-Myanmar, Thailand highway, which will be operational by next year. So similar, it can be extended to Central Asia through Pakistan and Afghanistan. So there is a lot of scope where infrastructure can be connected easily. Then there is a need to work to revive the SARC again. We need to work on SAFTA so that tariff and non-tariff barrier should be reduced. There should be focus on trade. Now, then there are subgroups within the SARC like BBIN, which is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal. These groups should not be seen as competing with SARC, but as a subgroup which will help in promoting the objective of regional trade. Then for all these things, we require a strong political will so that countries they can work better. So regarding these recommendations, which that how to strengthen the SARC, there are. Sorry, the slide is gone. Just a moment. So coming to the recommendation, so it is for SARC, it is important that we should promote people-to-people contact, and it can only be done if there is a easy visa regime and there is a focus on movement of people. There should be more focus on sports diplomacy because we have a common sport in the region in the form of cricket, which people love a lot. So, although Indian government they refuse to travel to Pakistan for Champions Trophy, but I think they should have done it. But sooner or later they have to do it. Then again, we need to focus on various institutions like SARC so that it can work better. Then there is a need to promote regional investment. If we take the example of India, there are policies which discourage investment from China, Pakistan, or there are more scrutiny if there is an investment coming from a neighboring country. So such policies are not good. We need to see that how we can work on these policies. Then there is a requirement to encourage private investment in the region so that there should be industrial linkages between the various industries so that people should get the benefit out of it. Then there is a need to create a supply chain where not necessarily that goods are produced in one country. The using the expertise of each one of them, we can add value to it, and then we can not necessarily that we convert it into finished goods. We can convert it into a semi-furnished, and then in some other country it will be furnished. So need to create a regional supply chain where focus should be on the comparative cost advantage, the country which is able to do at a cheaper rate, because like in case of India, we have expertise in software development services. In case of Pakistan, they have expertise on electronics and other things. Uh, Bangladesh has a capacity in producing goods at a cheaper price, so that our products are at a cheaper price. We'll be able to meet the global competitiveness, and we'll be able to trade at a cheaper price. So, in conclusion, I would like to say that focus is entirely that we understand there are a lot of benefits for regional trade, but this require a lot of commitment and a lot of political that unless this there is a strong leadership and political commitment, they will not be able to move forward. And we have seen in last 10 years there is no development on this area, and it is important that our politicians they should start working on it. They should be focusing on that public that ordinary people, so that their life will be better. So that this is the presentation from my side, but I'll be more focusing on questions because I was not able to clearly show the slides. So I have, if there is any question, I'm ready to take it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raj. Now about the questions, there are two ways to ask the question. You can either raise your hand, which is the electronic hand, or you can type your question in the chat box. We have a question from Rizwan. Before asking the question, just a small request to all the worthy participants. Please do not make this into a debate. We would like all the questions to be answered. So if you really think that your question has not been answered, you can ask a supplementary question. Otherwise, if you have any other concerns that you would like to know from Dr. Raj, we will give you his contact, and you can communicate with him electronically. Thank you very much. Rizwan, first question from you, please.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. It was a wonderful presentation, and my friends from the economic background would love to ask further question. I would like to ask in your areas of cooperation, how about this region affected by climate change can have cooperation in this side? And what do you think they can do apart from those political and other things aside? And I've seen they have done that in other forums outside this region, like in COP conferences and other things. So is there any room to cooperate in this part? Thank you.
So regarding the this environment that that the Himalayas, we have a common Himalayas which pass through the entire region, and they separate us from the rest of Asia. So we have a common this Himalayas. From them, we have a common river system, and then we have the problems which are associated with it, like floods, like disaster management. Then because again, we were in, if we take air pollution, we were having this smog problem. So we have seen in Lahore or in Delhi, the air is unbreathable, and both countries are pointing fingers on each other rather than they should focus on finding solution together. So in case of this climate change, climate will not be confined to the borders, so they easily cross the borders. So when problem is of this scale, then cooperation between all member countries are required. So it is important, although they created a disaster management center in India for SARC, but I don't think it is operational. It was planned to be established in Gujarat, but still I'm not sure that whether it is operational or not. But still, a lot of at the different levels, there is a lot of cooperation going on. There is a back channel which is going on between Indian and Pakistani government, basically armies. There in 2021, they had the ceasefire. They revised the ceasefire agreement. The border is completely silent on the both sides, and there are a lot of government of India is also acknowledging that infiltration is not it is almost negligible. So these countries are cooperating at COP or even in Shanghai Cooperation Agreement or at different levels, but I'm not able to understand why they do not do at a SARC level. So it is very important that for the issues like climate change, these countries they come together and have a common solution. Although we also share our river system water with all the neighboring countries.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Thank you.
I hope I am able to answer it.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Zishan has a question. Zishan, please.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. It was very insightful presentation, and I loved it. Especially, it was like you mentioned all the different challenges, opportunities, and what we can do. And you can say that the component needs further discussion as well. I have the question which is related to the globalization. It's becoming like the world is not becoming more and more globalized as we see, especially after the Trump and also the industrial policies like in developed democracies, and also means our neighboring country China is promoting free trade, even though but developed democracies, and where you can see that the Asia is more connected to the West rather than Asia is connected with each other as well. Not only like the South Asia is less connected, the whole Asia is not connected, excluding ASEAN. So my question is that the world is going for more and more industrial policy like protectionism and all these things. In this, like the world scenario, what do you think? What's the future of regional integration, especially in terms of supply chain and all these things?
So we have seen in the West, in Brexit, we have seen in the case of USA that they are becoming more protectionist, anti-immigrant, and because their own population is questioning that they are not able to get the benefit, and the countries like India and China, they are getting more benefit. But in contrast, if we see that the countries like India and China or the regional countries, they are open to globalization. They want to integrate more and more into the global economy. It clearly shows that the power center or the growth is shifting towards the Eastern Bloc, towards Asia, and India and China and the entire South Asia will be the hotspot for development. So even if West is looking inward, but this SARC, South Asia and China, they are looking outwards. So although the policies which is going on in USA, they are not they are basically they want to have a deal wherein they want that equal treatment to their companies. So let's see how it goes on. Whatever policies Trump administration is going to implement, it will not only impact China, it will be going to impact India. But we have a good experience in dealing with Trump in last term. So we hope that we'll be able to deal with them. And if we look into the history before the colonization, this entire region, it was giving around 50% of the world GDP. So it was highly globalized, highly integrated with world major countries. There are a lot of trade was going on, a lot of manufacturing was going on. So again, the same that time is coming back, and I hope that even if countries are doing protectionism, they will not be able to do it because the entire supply chain is spread into the various countries. So if they want to do it, then it will increase their cost of production. It will create a lot of other economic issues. So going back or reversing globalization is not possible. So only way is to move forward, and if there are concerns which it can be addressed, let's see how things uh, spread out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raj. I always, of all the talks or webinars that we have held, I always thought that I should be asking the question before Zishan. And somehow he was conducting all the previous seminars and he would ask the question before me. Today I was conducting it and I thought I should be polite and let others ask first. And still he asked the question which basically I wanted to ask. So, but I will still go into a supplementary question on this. It is that you began your presentation with mentioning the MFN status under WTO protocol, but we are seeing, it is a supplementary question, it is linked to what Zishan already mentioned. We are already seeing protectionism, that is correct, and we are also seeing states like the United States not abiding by the protocols given in the WTO. So, do you think these protocols will hold as much traction and as much force, and they will be a binding force for countries in South Asia? And or do we need to look at evolving some other protocol or some bilateral agreements which would be more binding than the WTO protocol? Thank you.
If we
Sorry
look
to
into okay, so if we look into this regional trade agreements, so before 94, 93, 94, before this when WTO came into the existence, there were very few regional trade agreements. But when this system came into being, there is a sudden jump. So at present there are more than 300 regional trade agreements, and all these countries, they have their separate trading agreements with each one of them. India is having with USA, India is having with EU, and China is under process. We are already in a process, advanced stages of having a free trade agreement with UK. So uh, problem with global trading system is that then what like in case of MFN, that the benefit which is given to one country, it will be given to everyone. So in order to avoid that, the countries, they have their own trading agreements in which they want to negotiate terms as per their requirements. So it operates like a exception to the trading system. So basically, it says that if we cannot have a frictionless world, we can have frictional reasons, and then we can integrate this reason into a global trading system. So ultimate objective is the free global trade, but if we are not able to do it because of there are a lot of concerns, like in case of India, we have a concern about our domestic agriculture, domestic these industry which are primarily associated with agriculture. So whenever we negotiate, we put some clauses for protection of our domestic industry. But for other sectors, we are open. Similarly, some other countries will have their own concern. So I'm not against WTO, but I'm saying that within WTO framework, this opportunity is provided to the countries, so they should be focusing on this. Regarding investment, there are bilateral investment treaties, but where some commitment is given. But we have seen, like in case of conflict in Europe, there are investment treaties between Russia and the rest of the Western world. But in this, as per these treaties, they will not be able to impose sanctions, but they are doing it. And let's see after when war is concluded in Europe, how these treaties are interpreted. So we need to see that how this treaties are going to interpret it. And that's all from my side regarding this question on MFN.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Raj. Uzma Zia has a question. Ji, Uzma, please.
Hello, I'm Uzma Zia. My question is, what is your stance on the US and China's trade war? How it can affect South Asian region? Can be the implications for that?
After COVID, in Trump 1, they were having a similar policy with respect to China and as well as India. So it's not having trade war only with China, but they were already having similar issues with India also. But after COVID, now West is more they were suspicious toward China, and they are moving their manufacturing capacity which out of China. So this is the opportunity for this region to get a share out of it, because a lot of industries are moving to Vietnam, to ASEAN. Some is they are coming to India also. So these all countries, they can work together and get this manufacturing capacity which is shifting out of China to this region. So even if there is a trade war, but I don't think China is not a big economy. I don't, and that American economy, American people are dependent upon imports from China. So I don't think they will be able to completely shut it, but there is possibility that they will be increasing tariffs. Ultimately, if they increase tariff, it will have impact on prices. Let's see how it pans out, but it is opportunity for us to get investment in this region, to get more manufacturing capacity, so that it will get jobs, and it will increase our economic prosperity.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Dr. Manzoor Ahmed has a question. He is a former ambassador to WTO and director at Food and Agriculture Organization to the United Nations, Geneva, deputy director, World Customs Organization. So he has a vast experience in government sector. Over to Dr. Manzoor, please.
Okay, let me see. Well, thanks very much. I wanted to add on this US-China trade, etc. And I mean, let me clarify. What I mean to say is, yes, there are problems. No one denies that. But if you look at China and India, their trade, there maybe their little fall, 5%, 3%, up and down, but they're still really integrated. They have still something like $600 billion of trade. Maybe Trump would try further this, that, but what happens is that there's as much dependence of US on China than China on and because China has already diversified its exports elsewhere, to rest of countries, the trade has gone up compared to US. And also what happens is that anytime US puts, more tariffs, China finds a way to export to, say, Mexico, to Vietnam, to India, elsewhere, and its exports grow there, and from there it comes to the US. So that was one thing, and the other problem I was going to say, other thing I thought maybe I was not very clear when we say that in FTAs you can have exceptions and you can, yes, that's right, that you can give more preferential treatment in FTA, but you cannot raise your tariffs against or put any import restrictions or other things. That MFN rule still stays. Okay, within a region you can give more favorable treatment, but and also just to clarify that between India and Pakistan, one of the problems was that from the very beginning, both of them, they negotiated a special clause. The clause was that so at the time, I mean, when GATT days of 1948, they said that since we are the same economy, we were the same country, we are the same economy, so we are much more integrated. We cannot give the same treatment to other countries, and we'd like to maintain our special status. And somehow that special status continued. Now maybe some countries, maybe Pakistan also, uses it the other way around. It was originally to be plus FTA, but I mean plus, I should say plus FTA. And now we say that we have a special clause, so we don't have to give MFN. But it was more than MFN. That's why they wanted to have that this thing. But maybe I'll just stop here and not monopolize too much time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manzoor. Dr. Raj, would you like to add something to what what Manzoor Saab has said, or should I move to the next question?
In case of China, that Indian trade is more than 100 billion, and which is heavily tilted towards the China. So we are importing more and exporting less, and our exports are mainly raw material, but we are importing a lot of finished goods and other material from China. Moreover, in case of China, that how it is helping us also, that ours is a world pharmacy. We are producing the cheapest medicines in the world, and a lot of developing countries or least developed countries are dependent on cheap medicine from India. Even this World AIDS program is dependent on medicine imports from India. So, but we are using this called APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients or raw material or bulk dirt, which is produced by China. So if we are not getting it cheaper from China, we'll not be able to provide cheap medicines. So it is interlinked. Moreover, China is one of the biggest trading partner. We have a similar problems which we have with Pakistan with China. Our borders are not defined. We have a border skirmishes. We had a war in the past, but still we are trading. There are a lot of Chinese companies are investing in India. They are shifting this industries which are not very labor intensive or which we require cheap labor. Mainly this mobile manufacturing. So a lot of Chinese companies, they are also shifting their manufacturing facilities in India. So although we have a love and hate relationship, but on the front of trade, India and China, they are doing very good. So this is and similarly, China is also a very big player in Africa, Europe, and other countries. They are putting a lot of investment along with the trade also.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Nadeem Sarwar has a question. Please, Nadeem. Your mic is muted, Nadeem. You may want to unmute it and ask the question.
Maybe Nadeem by okay, Nadeem is typing.
He's typing.
Yeah.
All right, please move to the next question. Zishan, do you have anything to ask Dr. Raj?
Yeah, I have one question, and also after that, at the end, Dr. Manzoor will also conclude. My question is that, okay, means when we say that the regional trade is very good, and especially based on macroeconomics logic or industrial economics logic, it the advantages in the regional supply chain or comparative advantage or economies of scale. But Raj, can you means highlight some sectors means you think would be in advantage if we go for the regional trade?
Uh, we can do it in every sector, but like in recently we have seen that there was a food shortage in Pakistan. There were a lot of this wheat shortage, and in India we have an excess capacity, so they imported it from Ukraine. So even if they are getting it at same cost, but cost of transportation from Ukraine to Karachi and from Karachi to the population center in Punjab, it's again it will take a lot of time as well as a lot of money is involved. But in case of if we want to import from India, we can do it easily from Punjab, Indian Punjab to Pakistan. So we can do it in few hours only. So time, it will take less time, it will be cheaper, and ultimately it will have public will have the benefit. Moreover, in case like in every year in October, November, in India, we have an onion shortage, and prices will go up. So at that time, we import it from Afghanistan or from Turkey. So if there is a capacity available in Pakistan, excess capacity, it can be given to, it can be shifted to India, so that there will be price stability. So there are, like in case of previously, Pakistan was under a huge power shortage. So we were having excess capacity. We could easily transfer it to Pakistan. So there are a lot of opportunities where these countries can cooperate with each other. We have seen the success story of Kartarpur corridor. There are every year a lot of pilgrims to go to Nankana Sahib and other places. Similarly, there are a lot of people in Pakistan which they want to visit Ajmer Sharif or different places in India. So there are huge potential. Uh, Only that countries, they need to work together, and uh, they can uh, they can easily, these are lowest hanging fruits. They can easily get benefit out of on from these initiatives. So primarily, wherever I'm not saying that open your economy and take import in everything, but wherever, if that cost of import is cheaper from a neighboring country, we should go for it. If we are able to produce at a lower cost, we should produce it. But if we are able to get it from at a cheaper price from neighboring country, we should take it.
Yeah. And means connecting to this question means Pakistan and India or the region means still they trade, especially if I talk about Pakistan and India, and they're using Dubai route. So it's not the direct trade, it's the trade through the Dubai route. It
Indirect,
means
right?
indirect trade. And it means that means they have some comparative advantage. That's why they are doing means trade with each other. Is there any data like we can see that what's the volume of this indirect trade? Do you have any knowledge about it?
I have data on direct trade that at present India is exporting around 500 million USD per year, and primarily it includes medicines. And from Pakistani side, we are importing only 20 million. But in 2019, it was around 2.5 billion from Indian side and 1.5 billion from Pakistani side. So that data is available. But now, after 2019, that because of that some political issues, there is no trade is going on. Moreover, like India is building their own investment corridors. We have a north-south corridor which will pass through Iran to Russia, and then there is a economic corridor IMEC which will pass through UAE, Saudis, Israel, and then to Europe via Greece. But similarly, it can be done through Pakistan. So we can get access to Central Asia, only that if the Pakistan is ready to provide land route or act as a land bridge between India and Middle East and South Asia and Central Asia, so they can get a lot of benefit out of it. Already, there is a good highway infrastructure is there. Only we need to have a small linkages. We need to link it with our system, or we already have a very good railway system. Similarly, they can import through India to Myanmar, to Bangladesh, or to Nepal also. So we need to see that how these steps are taken by the government, but potential is huge.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Nadeem Sarwar has posted this question. I'll read it for everyone. Thank you for your nice presentation. You mentioned politicians using India versus Pakistan narrative for their political gain. I observed that people on both sides are more open to integrate, meet each other, and enjoy common music and cricket matches. My question is how we can translate this into political demand so that politicians, for their own interest, try to normalize the relations and we can move towards integration.
Like we discussed that there are different stages of democracy. Whenever there is a grievance or whenever there is a issues of identity, so their natural reaction is the biggest neighbor, which is India. So because public are not well aware about it, politicians are not uh, entirely working for the benefit, or their main concern is to get the power. So if they allow people to people more people to people interaction, then it will help. Moreover, because India is a big country, there is a responsibility on India to extend concessions to the neighboring countries, so that they should see more benefit in the regional trade. And we need to address their apprehensions, because like in case of Pakistan, their domestic industries, they have apprehension because they think that India will be able to produce at a lower cost, and they will not be good for their domestic industry. So that I'm saying that in this case there is a more responsibility on India to extend concessions to the neighboring country, provide the room so that we can start a trade back. And I don't think there is any problem between people to people, but there is a problem because of politics which is involved in this region. So it is not that that there is a problem between India and Pakistan. There is a problem between India and Nepal also. Nepal thinks that India has interfere into their matter. Bangladesh, they were having similar problem. So we need to have a larger heart, and I think that more responsibility is on India to extend concessions and take these countries along, so that we can collectively grow together.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Raj. It was wonderful. As Zishan has already mentioned, that your presentation covered so many areas that we can have one individual presentation on each one of those areas, and we would love to have more talks on this issue from your side and from other participants, and we would be seeking intellectual and scholarly input from other quarters as well. Please accept my gratitude. I'm going to ask Dr. Manzoor Ahmed for his closing remarks. Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, as I've told, has worked for the government of Pakistan as former ambassador to WTO. Currently, he's the chairman of the board of trustees of Policy Research Institute of Market Economy, PRIME, and a senior fellow with the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, PIDE. For his closing remarks, I would request Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for those kind words. Well, I'm very pleased that such, I think it was Nadeem Sarwar who approached me, and I was very happy that such initiatives are taking place, and we really need these things. Um, and also thank Professor Raj for his comprehensive presentation. I think there is no doubt, I mean, the whole world agrees that regional trade is extremely beneficial for countries, for those countries which are involved in this, and for the rest of the world as well. I mean, you look at any regional bloc, for example, EU, and before they made this EU, there were so many wars and there were so many problems, and now they got together, and there's peace and there's prosperity. And even for those countries which were much poorer before becoming the part of EU, like say Portugal, Spain, etc., now have really shot up. And more recently, the East European countries which joined EU now have almost they're catching up with the other countries. And well, you know, for example, one of the problems some countries think, okay, we open up trade, but then we'll have this big deficit. Well, you know, it's country to country, one should not measure deficit. As Professor Raj was saying, I mean, between India and China, there's a huge deficit. One is exporting something 100 billion, other is 20 billion. But why India buys from China is because they find that, you know, that's the cheapest source for that. So the same thing should apply for Pakistan. If they open up trade, maybe they'll find that they will not have balanced trade. I mean, they'll be importing more and exporting less, but it will be extremely beneficial for Pakistan to do so. And recently, I think the World Bank, they did this study, and they concluded that if Pakistan was to normalize trade with India, its exports will grow by 80%. It will almost double the current export. It doesn't mean that our exports to India, well, yes, they will grow, but not that they will, that only exporting to India will double our exports, but it's just that, for example, Bangladesh and India, in terms of trade, are far more integrated. Bangladesh imports about 14, 15 billion and exports only 2 billion to India. But in the process, Bangladesh is able to convert those 15 billion imports into value addition and export to the rest of the world. So it's an extreme interest of Pakistan, because we have been slow in opening up our economy. India has done very well, and just today we heard the sad news of Mr. Manmohan Singh's passing away, and I think a great leader who led India onto that path. And you know, India is now seeing the benefits. I mean, it's a completely transformed. So I think it's very much in our benefit to open trade, and for the whole region to benefit. In fact, recently, if you see, I mean, even although India didn't sign that RCEP treaty, but they negotiated it, but they have individually signed FTAs with each of those, with ASEAN, with Australia, with Japan, for all those member countries, because they think it's in their benefit, and that's why they've done it. You know, I think this was referred to by Professor Raj, but Pakistan has its own unique, what should I say, benefits. Like Pakistan has a strategic geographical location. On this side, on Central Asian side, there are countries very rich in energy resources, and on the other side of Pakistan is India, which has serious shortage of energy. And if Pakistan and India, if they were having this normal trade, and maybe those pipelines could go through Pakistan, that would benefit Pakistan in terms of earning rents and also meeting its own energy needs, and also benefit India. Just maybe one or two more points. And Professor Raj has already mentioned those, that these border disputes are not unique to just India and Pakistan. and he's already mentioned India-China dispute, but then then China, Taiwan. I mean, they don't even agree on Taiwan being a country, but they are huge trade between themselves. And maybe you can see Turkey and Israel, Turkish leader Erdogan is so much, he speaks so emotionally against them. But as for trade, tourism, etc., is concerned, they have that normal flow of trade and tourism. So what I entirely agree with the recommendations made by Professor Raj, and I hope that this new think tank being set up to promote this regional connection will make more progress and hopefully have, clarify many of the misunderstandings, etc., and try to move the process forward. And I think, I don't know, I was recently engaged with the government in some trade promotion, etc., and I think Pakistan is quite keen to resume trade. And at one time when I've been dealing with this Pakistan-India trade or SEFTA, etc., from '96, that was the first time I went to India, and we were, every time we thought we are just there, we got there, and I think for at least the first till about 2015-16, India was much more keen than Pakistan was, and somehow now that it's turned around. Now maybe India is not that keen that Pakistan is keen, and perhaps it's in the interest of both. Maybe India has done well, but still there's a lot of poverty in the whole region, including India, and it will, and especially it benefits the farmers, because sometimes you have excess of something. It's both sides. I mean, we import from India, and India also imports the. We've seen in case of sugar, sometimes there's shortage and they import from here, and other crops. We have seen these things, and the third thing I think was about this, that we should not forget that this trade is taking place, but it's through third countries. I think Zishan asked the question, how much trade? And there was an interesting publications from, I think the Trade Triangle or something. They estimated, they put up various estimates that how much trade is taking place through UAE, etc. And there were many examples. For example, they said many Pakistani people like this white, what they call chana, and they used to get it directly from India, and it was something like $660 per ton. And now that they cannot get it directly, so it has to go to Dubai and repackage, etc. And middleman and so previously the freight was about $30. Now it's jumped to $200 because of all this problem. From $660 it becomes $860. And I should also mention here that our farmers in Sindh, they are relatively very poor, and they used to export all their dates to India. That dates as well as what they call chuara, that
dry dates.
Dry dates. Yes. And now again that trade takes place too, and they lose their. They have to bring down their prices to be able to sell to India. So there was a question about the which sectors, and I think it was 2012-13, I was going around the country at the request of Ministry of Commerce to speak to various chambers. And they were saying, for example, Faisalabad chamber, but our chemical industry will be ruined, etc. And what happened when they opened up? In northern India, they needed these soda ash and such things which were easily importable rather than import from south of India, which was more expensive, and they wanted to import. And then they were so happy, the industry that was producing, I think, ICI and some others, that they could easily send it to India rather than just having to export to far off where the profit was not that much. So there are these hidden things which are not clear. Before you open up, they're not clear that you can benefit this. For example, India is, in case of services, has greatly expanded its services trade, its outsourcing, and this. And in the process, it has become more expensive. There are lots of things that if we link with them, the services sector can grow much more. And also I met somebody in Geneva. He was a bank president, and he was visiting from Pakistan. He said he's trying to buy some software from Switzerland. And I said, why don't you try this from India? Because this was a special. And he said, actually, it's Indian software. We are buying it through Switzerland, and it's the Swiss are making such huge profit. It's 3 times more expensive, but because we cannot do it directly, so we have to go this way. So there's no doubt about the benefits, and I think I commend both sides, who are taking this initiative. It's a small step, but I'm sure such small steps have been between US and China. Also, it was ping pong, and from there, where they one of the biggest bilateral trade partners. So I just conclude here saying that there should be absolutely no doubt that everyone will gain. This will result in more confidence building measures. It will bring more peace. And I just, wish that you continue on with this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manzoor. It was a pleasure listening to you. It isn't every day that we find words of wisdom to be words of optimism as well. And today's presentation and today's talk, today's session has simply been filled with optimism for greater integration for South Asia. I am indebted to Dr. Raj and for his marvelous presentation, and we would be looking forward to many more presentations and many more talks on the issue of regional integration. Thank you very much. Thanks. I also thank all the participants for not only their patient listening, but also their active participation. Thank you very much. We will call it a day here. Thanks for coming.